Welcome everyone to latest and greatest IT breaking news. Let's first start with the positive thing. Google, of all companies, didn't expect to say something positive about Google in the near future, but here we are, following Apple's App Store, lowering of the 30% share to 15. And I have to say Google, so of course as usual, why is it important to fight for stuff like this on the Apple side? Because industry often follows, and the following is Google lowering this to 15% too. And I have to say Google is doing this better, because I even made a video, and in this video I called out the process and approval, and it actually, I found this relatively annoying, and I have to say this is much more fair, as in everyone gets 15% for the first million, which in my opinion, I made the video of showing you this bullshit of multiple accounts and companies and holding and percentage and stuff. It's ridiculous. And so yeah, much more fairer. This is actually what, in my opinion, Apple should have done. Simply 15% for everyone for the first million. It's also nothing crossing that in 1 year or next year or something, a clear thing, a fair thing, a simple thing. And this is certainly how this should be. Speaking of which, I heard from someone just that I actually forgot about this. Someone said Apple 15% business program not accepted. Just remember that now this was some days ago. Someone said this on Twitter. Maybe I should have looked this up, but according to someone on Twitter, maybe if I find it later, I post a link below. They said a small company of side project, not even much earning, some 10, 15, 20,000 of side project stuff. And they wanted to take it seriously and even asked Apple before, because they had like a personal account stuff, not like an LLC or incorporated and stuff. So they wanted to make a tiny little LLC or something as a real business. And so they even engaged Apple and asked them, according to these tweets multiple times, hey, we want to transfer this app, we want to make this a real business, and can we transfer this? Because somewhere in the fine print of Apple's App Store stuff is written app transfers not accepted into this small business 15% program. And he didn't get the clearest answer. I mean, first the usual bullshit, you make their support request, you get there some template answer of totally not helpful. Eventually, after 4 or so contact there on the contact forms, eventually he got something that sounded somewhat like, yeah, it doesn't really matter much or something, but qualification is always depending on Apple's approval or something. He said, even on Twitter, he said he should have get suspicious and pressed for more answers, but he said, okay, fine, it will probably work. They opened an they opened an LLC, transferred this app, and then with this new LLC, zero sales, with this tiny little app of having 10, 15, 20,000 or so only of hobby sales, they didn't get approved, right? He even appealed, according to their tweets, this Apple review board, but no dice. It's like, this decision is final. You with your new LLC, zero turnover, and this app that previously made some 10, 15 or something thousand US dollars of side project, yet you don't get this 15% because we show you the finger. Totally hilarious. I should have actually prepared this. Anyway, kudos for Google for doing it better in the Play Store. And secondly, similar important, iOS developer that drew attention to App Store scams. I actually noticed that in my Twitter bubble there of friends and family. This actually was scrolling by. And when this was new, I actually saw that. And I totally agree with them. We had, with all the previous videos, with our apps here of paperless and OCR stuff, we had our issues and left the App Store for good, for many reasons, updates and 30%, and also I didn't mean it to open it like this and keep some shift pressed or something. But previous videos, of all the problems we had, we didn't have this copy thing. So this is what he posted here already some time ago, maybe a year ago or so. Some app for the Apple Watch of gesture typing something. I don't have the app. I don't even have an Apple Watch. But what he writes here sounds pretty plausible, of making an amazing app that even is in the top 10 and some, I don't know, 100,000 something. And showing here in probably, is it a pinned tweet of that? And he showed here, yeah, you make an app, a small little company, successful thing, puts all the time and effort of designing and programming and promoting that. And then all the copycats come, all the scams, all the just creating some barely functional screenshot-based garbage scam stuff of even expensive, even like this copycat scam of what barely was more than a screenshot, didn't even work, like a subscription, $9.99, and even though so multiple of those, as I really wonder, fun fact, I barely use apps. The last app I probably downloaded years ago. Totally not my thing, because most of the stuff is just random garbage. Anyway, we are here in more serious business, like not compiling open source stuff. But yeah, totally. You see this also each time I open the App Store, it's like 100,000 apps of random garbage, where like stupid games of browsing Twitter and YouTube, getting advertisements for really stupid low quality games. But yeah, where's this even, should this not be conversation, or where's the rest of the conversation? Anyway, he lines this out. He even tried to contact Apple about all the copy stuff, because certainly it takes out all the business, all the hard work you put out in there. Also, Apple's argument is the App Store is for protection of the users and developers. And what protection is that? If you make a fantastic app and everyone in their kitchen sink copies you and makes there some scam out of it. Besides, in Apple's reality distortion field, according to their own marketing, scams should not even exist in the App Store, right? And now he sues Apple, which I find really interesting. I hope much success to this lawsuit. Apparently he filed for exactly that. He even alleges further, what I didn't previously read, that he even, well, obviously he didn't necessarily post this earlier, even Apple, someone contacted him from Apple or agencies to potentially purchase his company. And he further reveals here now that he got additional roadblocks in the review process. I said this before, even our review process always like rejected with screenshot, rejected with random garbage, rejected for once, last even rejected because for 10 years our ExactScan Pro had the same icon, and after 10 years the hundreds update rejected for using an icon, an application icon, duplicate already existing in the App Store. It's like we just make it darker, Pro version, then got it darker, more blackish or something else. Or some Pro. Actually, I think we added that Pro. Is like, yeah. Anyway, so accusing of scams, and also being targeted by competitive software, saying didn't work well or didn't work at all. Nonetheless, chipped away the sales of the App Store and ranking through false advertising and the purchase of fake reviews. Also, yeah, exactly all the stuff he accuses Apple, what Apple says. The Apple is such an amazing curated wallet garden there, that everything is amazing, but reality from our experience, also a lot of user in like Reddit and MacRumors and stuff, always, when you discuss with them, all the users who have no experience in this whatsoever, they always fight you with, no, you are unsuccessful moron developer who knows next to nothing about anything. And also the App Store, because they will say App Store make it so easy and whatsoever. And I always argued a decade ago already that for us it created enormous amount of extra work, or the submission process. We have a website, we have an update seed, you just build something, you send something, and with the App Store you have additional means. You need to use Apple's tool, then the bloody upload tool, or sure, it is integrated in Xcode, but initially it wasn't, later it was integrated, and I never quite like all the auto magic. You never know, in my opinion, what happens there, what it creates there, additional IDs and this and that, and you don't know what it sends and so on. So But nonetheless, whatever tools you use, it is extra work of editing metadata, editing screenshot. You have your own website with that you in any case need. In the App Store, you need to manually curate with Apple's bloody web tools and other surrounding stuff, or Xcode integration, additional screenshot translations, and last but not least, you can't even change the listing that much. Every app gets the same icon and text. And what was a problem for us, some App Store listings look a little bit better because they once upon a time have been an editor's pick, and then they get a little bit different background graphic and a little bit better or better artwork there. And I find it also really anti-competitive that we, even though our apps were at times high in the charge, especially as they were not that cheap, Exact Scan 99, OCR Kit 49 or later 30 something, and actually the sales in the App Store are not that amazing, especially on the Mac side. So even with our mediocre sales, we sometimes were in some even top 20 or something in some countries, and we didn't even sell that much there. So much to have, can guess how much stuff sells in the App Store, in the Mac App Store anyway. But so this I also find anti-competitive if we can't have like nicely styled App Store listings and some lucky editors pick head. But yeah, he has of course much more to say. Although I once was at Apple, didn't even find out. So for us, I didn't even find out if they wanted to hire me or if they wanted to buy the company. I have to say I also didn't engage that the most, because I simply didn't want to work at Apple. So it was like YOLO, whatever. Yeah, tell me something. Was nice to have a meeting there, see the Apple buildings inside. Was previously already showing you some sticker I got printed there. That's in the meantime pretty faded though. I think Apple was I probably seriously irritated those people at Apple because I didn't even show the highest interest of, yay, you are the greatest and godlike and leader and master race and stuff. But like, yeah, I think they were a little bit irritated that I didn't bless them as much as probably everyone else is excited to talk with them. So anyway, because I simply didn't want to move to the USA and have the healthcare and living there in Silicon Valley and stuff. And anyway, last but not least, yeah, really looking forward to this. He has many points. You probably can read through that, but just another nail into the App Store coffin here of not amazing state of software distribution. And this is also the thing, I said this before, software distribution existed before the App Store, and developers usually didn't have the biggest problem with that. And in my opinion, Apple just grabs there a whole lot of money from the developers. Sure, other software distribution schemes at times would also do so, but they had the choice, and not like with the App Store, of not having a choice on the iPhone and increasingly not necessarily on the Mac as well. So yeah, welcome everyone. Marco, can't believe breaking news. Yeah, I need to summarize. This is just a what else can we get rid of this advertisements? I think I need to leave the site for. Anyway, yeah, I need to compile the many security vulnerabilities of the last weeks. Was a little bit busy to get started here. 2 months security roundup. Sorry, it's not the security roundup you were waiting for, but there sure was a lot. I really need to compile this. I just wanted to get some, first of all, I have some stuff to get done, and also live streams had to get some T2 and Rust stuff compiled and stuff. Marco's hopes lies on the Pine 64 using the Pixel 5 in the meantime with degoogled ROM and stuff, and telling Marco wishes could go back in time, telling this 20-year-old self for what to create a smartphone software company already back in that day, or for what reason. And this exactly is what I said already in a live stream probably 2 years ago, when the channel was even smaller. I was showing you some phones from the very first iPhone to a later one, and I said there in this live stream, I really wish with all the App Store and software stuff that the smartphone and embedded sphere would be more like a regular good old-fashioned PC in the sense that you can bring your own software. In my opinion, rather ridiculous that you need to do extra steps and fiddling to have your Samsung, Sony, Google, whatever, and load there something. And people, of course, say integration, but honestly, the Apple ARM stuff is not that special. Of course, sure, it is performance and it has all the Apple-specific GPU and other AI and camera interface glue and stuff. But at the end of the day, this could have been solved with drivers. Of course, now there is increasingly some Linux, Android stuff on Apple Silicon, especially with the new M1 ARM Mac movement that certainly will, as much as people are interested in that, definitely open all of this. Also iPhone and iPad, because they're just so similar, and open this up again, also with this check rain exploits and stuff. But maybe even yielding drivers compatible. So the irony is maybe the Apple ARM Mac, because the M1 GPU hardware is certainly quite similar, of course beefier, more cores and stuff, could lead to better Android support for Android on Linux, on iPhone and iPad. But yeah, I hope eventually we will see some lawsuits. I just don't have enough time and money to start my own, but would, or even right to repair, aka right to own your devices, right to politicians and convince them that there should be some law to install your own software however you please. The only irony is that here in the EU we have this regulation since some years that wireless radio stuff should be protected to not alter that firmware, which is rather the opposite of that. You have some not securely updated access point router thing, and you can't even properly load your own Linux. Because what I mean to say with that is that on any device that there should not be a separation in Macs and PCs or iOS phones and tablets and Google stuff or other stuff, and just like load Windows, Linux, Android, iOS with the suitable drivers. As you see with the M1 Mac, there is no technical reason this should be further limited, and this would of course allow people to just install what they like, what they prefer, and even have theoretically, would be nice to have this parallel universe thing of just loading iOS on your Android hardware, on vice versa, of what you prefer. For example, you need some app, you're not satisfied anymore, you have an iPhone, and just load Android, complete with full support and stuff. And in general also have longer life of those devices for Fridays for Future and World Overshoot Day, to use them as long as you are satisfied with the performance and stuff. Anyway, just my 2 cents. I hope you found this interesting. Let's take one more note. Marco writes, well, actively supporting Linux dev, earlier donated 10 Pinephones, not to various. You mean you personally donated 10 Pinephones to various projects? That is certainly amazing. So would have done the same with Nexus devices and so on. That sounds amazing, and yeah, this is also why I pre-ordered this RISC-V board. In the long term, especially with this BIOS stuff, just today, like yesterday's BIOS video, just today I found more head-scratching stuff of ASUS BIOS you save there. I just today realized it doesn't even show when you say save this and it shows you a list of changed options. Today I realized it doesn't even show all, right? Sometimes it just doesn't show some changes. So like, anyway, this is with this RISC-V board. This is unmatched, of course, not the highest performance, but given the state of not amazing BIOSes, and this is also why I'm not the most interested in the M1 Mac. Fun fact, I still only have the DTK, which I still wonder if Apple will make a second attempt to get it from us or not. I have the feeling maybe I just don't talk with them right now, and maybe it stays here, we will see. Because the first pickup probably took the Fujitsu scanner, previous video. So yeah, I don't have an M1 Mac, only the DTK, which is a 12 set or something, and probably eventually we need to get one for testing of our software here, obviously. But I'm not the most thrilled. I don't need this. For me, I really wonder those people who put their so much effort in this closed ecosystem for me. And there you also see the difference between true open source believers and people who just like not further thinking about the consequences of buying this closed hardware, even although it's faster ARM hardware, but the closed ecosystem. And yeah, we as a community donating and working on even enabling that, and Apple making billions selling those devices, even though people spend all their time and money on making it work for Linux. The RISC-V unmatched, of course, not the super highest performance, but at least totally free. And I have hopes to potentially create a full, of course, it comes with somewhat free bootloader and firmware, but it's C, and I want to do some serious prototyping experience with some 1 nano kernel HAL bootloader chain of microkernel enablement. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you learned something. Leave in the comments below what you think of the state of the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. The scams and shenanigans here of copycats and clones and stuff, and how Apple and Google run the stuff. Anyway, I hope you learned something, and to see you soon for the next videos and live streams to come.